All right, the last part of the lesson, we're going to be on page 5. It's the same skill, just a word problem embedded into it. So this question, you have the speed of a tidal wave s in hundreds of miles. So we're talking the speed s in hundreds of miles per hour can be modeled by this equation. T is the time from its origin or its start in hours. Algebraically, so we can't just use the calculator, we have to show the algebra. Determine the time when s is 0. So what we're going to, and the rest of this question we're not going to bother with, so don't worry about this. Okay, if s is equal to 0, what we're going to do is just substitute 0 in for the speed. So we're going to have 0 equals the square root of t minus 2t plus 6. Again, apologize about the handwriting. Okay, our goal is to solve for t. So same as you did in the first part of the lesson and the second part, we have to get this square root term by itself. So why don't you pause the video right now and see if you can do that, and then come back when you have that square root by itself. So what we need to do is we need to move these two terms to the left side of the equation. So inverse operations, I'm going to add 2t and subtract 6. So you're going to have 2 times t minus 6 is equal to the square root of t. And then just like we've done, think about how to get rid of the square root, how to undo that. Inverse operation is to square that. So we're going to square both sides of this equation. Don't forget your parentheses. Square both sides. Squaring a square root, those are inverse operations. Squaring 2t minus 6, you're going to have to use the tabular method and go through that. So at this point, pause the video and see if you can go ahead and get this equation set equal to 0, because you're going to end up with a quadratic, and then come back and see if we're on the same page. All right, so at this point, I'm going to just redo this so I have some room. 2t minus 6, 2t minus 6. This is going to become 4t squared minus 12t minus another 12t plus 36. So on the left-hand side of the equation, you're going to have 4t squared minus 24t plus 36 equals. On the right side of the equation, we just had t. Because this is quadratic, you want to keep this term positive, and you want to get the equation set equal to 0. So you're going to have to subtract t from both sides. And that's going to leave you with 4t squared minus 25t plus 36 equals 0. All right, so check and make sure we're on the same page with that, and then we will go on to this next part here. All right, that looks good. So I'm just going to delete, so I got some room. So we got 4t squared minus 25t plus 36 equals 0. Okay, what you're going to do, factor and solve. So what I want you to do, pause the video, do your factoring and solving, get your t equals for both, and then come back and see if we agree. So I'm going to do 4 times 36. So I need numbers that multiply to positive 1 to 44 that add up to, in this case, negative 25. 144 divided by x on the calculator, you're going to end up with negative 9 and negative 16. So 4t squared minus 9t minus 16t plus 36 equals 0 is where we're at. GCF from grouping, t times 4t minus 9. All right, again, keep in mind, this has to be a 4t minus 9 in order for this grouping to work, because 16 and 36 are a little bit bigger. So if you think about what do you need to divide this negative 16 by to get 4, this has to be a negative 4. Some of y'all just know the GCF, but if you're struggling, you can do it kind of backwards. So this turns into t minus 4 times 4t minus 9 equals 0. Set those each equal to 0 and solve. You're going to get t equals 4. For this one, you're going to have to add 9 to both sides. I'm running out of room, so I'm not going to show every step. and then divide by 4. So you're going to get t equals 9/4, or 2.25. So then you're going to go to the calculator and do your check. But for your check, I'm going to delete this. This was 0. So we're going to plug 0 in, and you can't plug t in your calculator. So this is how this is going to look. When I go to the check, in y1, we're going to type in 0. And in y2, we have square root of x minus 2 times x plus 6. And then we're going to go to our table set. Oh, that's already set. We don't need to go back to that every time. What did we get? We got 4. This checks. Not all 3 of these numbers need to match, just the blue and the red. Obviously, depending on your calculator, you may not have colors, but y1, y2, 0, 0, so 4 checks, and that 9 divided by 4, 0 and 3, that does not check. That's an extraneous solution. So we got t equals 4, that's a solution. T equals 9 divided by 4, that's an extraneous solution. What I'd like for you to do now is go ahead and do number 20 on page 6. Pause the video, come back, I'll run through it, and you can see how you did. All right, let me go to number 20. Okay, the number of dogs housed at an animal shelter is modeled by this function. M is the number of months. M is the months since it's been open. And number of dogs is D. How many months? We need to know what M equals will it take for 74 dogs to be housed. So D is 74. This stays the rest. And then your goal is you need to solve for M. So same deal as we've been doing. You got to get the square root term by itself. So you're going to subtract the 50, subtract the 50. So 24 is equal to 4 times the square root of 2 times M. That's multiplication. To undo that, we're going to do division. So 6 is equal to the square root of 2 times M. All right, we've isolated the square root term. Inverse operation, square that. 36. Squaring a square root, inverse operations is equal to 2 times M. So to undo that, we're going to do some division. 18 is equal to M. So it's going to take 18 months before the shelter has 74 dogs. So your opportunity to learn between now and Friday is to finish up questions 1 through 12. Questions 1 through 12. That's what you want to finish up for Friday. If you have any questions about today's lesson, because I wasn't there, get a pass tomorrow and come see me block 5, or send me a remind message or an email. I apologize again about not being there. Thank y'all. Hope to see you soon.